Heck yeah! So much going on. There has definitely been some big projects we've kind of let slip behind a little bit, and this big Buick Electra is one of those. It's been a while since we've done an update, and we need to get this car finished. You can see behind us, we've slowly been knocking out a few of the bigger things here and there. There's a last few things to knock this car out. You're gonna see all of this in this episode, this big update on this 64 Buick Electra. This car has 38,000 original miles. We bought it from Copart because it had had an engine fire. You can see we spent a little time bringing things back to life, like that engine. We've been working on the interior. We're gonna get that knocked out in this video and hopefully get most of this front end done and get this car driving down the road again. That is definitely a goal in this year, get some of these bigger projects that have kind of been right at the edge of completion for a while now, just knocked out. The GMC motorhome, we need to do a good update video on the 911 there. We've been driving that car a good bit, finessing the last few odds and ends on it, and start on some bigger things like this. But before we start blowing a car like that, a Pagoda apart, this big old thing needs to be done. With the original clearly smoked, and this one not feeling too great, got a new motor for the blower motor, but we still need the little squirrel fan cage hobbin flubin thing here. Just a little different as far as the boot goes, but that is not a huge deal. Big thing is this guy. If this thing fits nicely on the original cover. Thankfully, the blower box is in really good shape. Blend door dampener, not so much. We were able to get a new one, the actuator vacuum, to go in place. One thing we definitely need is power steering. As crusty as the outside here is, inside isn't too bad. Let's see if we can get this thing taken apart and hopefully rebuild it. Maybe. A little burnt fluid, surprisingly, but does not look too bad. Pump looks really good, feels really good. Whew. With that seal pulled, you can see it looks like maybe some kind of thrust washer there.
actually melted and is down in here. Boop. Feeling we're probably gonna have to at least have that out of the parts car. With this one opened up, you can see no melted stuff. This one has little resistance, kind of sloppy. This one's nice and tight and actually feels like a pump should. I think something internally melted here, and sadly, this pump is smoked. Thankfully, we have the good one here. Well, we assume to be a good one off of the parts car. That just shot me right. Oh my goodness, look at that about red spot. It's a pretty good spring. Oh man.
With our pump cleaned up, rebuilt, and on, you can see I cleaned up that barb, got a hose, and then had this one remade for the power steering to work. But it turns out you can buy these. You can buy these for less than $20 a piece, brand new, ready to go. I don't think we could have gotten the one rebuilt for $40, let alone buy a piece of hose. And it'll look nice being fresh and new in there instead of trying to clean up that rusty old burnt stuff. Oh yeah, look at that. Woo! I don't know if that drill's got it. Does it feel like power steering?
Oh,
or
yeah.
no? Really?
Oh yeah. See right now? Wait, don't do it, don't do it. Look.
Nothing?
No, don't do it.
I don't feel like this brake booster is going to work out too well for us. Let's get it apart and see if we can put a rebuild kit in it. The spring looks fine. Didn't take a ton of heat, so that should be okay. Let me go dump some of this char out. Now we can see what our diaphragm here is. So this is fiberglass.
The issue we're having with the brake booster is it's all fiberglass on the inside. It all got really hot, just like all of the air stuff, and it's kind of falling apart. It would cost a fortune to try to keep it original. I did a little bit of looking. Actually, I researched, and I finally came up with this. It is a universal, short, 9-inch, but it's stubby. The problem with all the ones that I was finding is it interferes with this, our fender, our inner fender here, our shifter. I just didn't want that. And I ended up finding this one, and it wasn't even $100, which $100 is $100, but when it was looking like at the cheapest was gonna cost us $600, I'm pretty happy. Now the only thing with this, it's a little bit different size hole, and I was concerned with that, except if you notice, those are huge. Check this out. Fits right in there.
Yeah, about 4 3/4.
Before we can go ahead and finish putting the rest of our dash in, this dash pad has to go back on. What's a shame is this thing is beautiful, and it was super nice before it got hot. We've got our crispiness right here though. We're going to attempt to save this thing because it's pretty much irreplaceable. Clean up what is cracked up and burnt right here, and then where it needs to be filled back in, we'll use Bondo, basically just like we did the 911 dash. Fill in everything, we'll get all the loose stuff taken care of, and then we'll fill in all of the cracks and everything, get it nice and smooth like the rest of it, and then we can glue on new vinyl. Got our marine vinyl here. We've had it out in the sun, so it's nice and pliable. We'll be using DAP Weldwood contact cement. This is what we use in all of our interiors. This stuff works really good. What you want to do is we're going to start in the center, go ahead and get the center attached, and then we'll work out either side little bits at a time, because once the stuff goes down, it's down. You don't want to try to wrestle the entire thing. So we go ahead and get a coat on both surfaces. We'll let that sit for about 15 minutes until it's tacky but doesn't come back off on your finger. Then we'll do a second coat, let that tack up, and it will be a time to go ahead and adhere it. Pull it tight, yeah, there you go. We'd love to get a windshield put back in the thing, but before we do that, we might as well go ahead and take care of this headliner because it's just a little bit crispy. Now the reason we are removing all the way down to the bottom here is obviously the lacing is not in the best shape in quite a few spots. So we went ahead and just got all new. We're putting a little bit more time into this car. We got a little bit of sun today. You put it up on the roof first, let it heat out so it's nice and pliable. We can go ahead and get our wind lace installed, get all of our clips put back in there so we can get ready to throw this thing up in. Pull out each of our rods. I left them in there so we have them in order. We can get them put in place because they're specific to where they go right here. Perfect. I actually have no idea what I'm doing. I think we say that every time, because we don't. We're just trying. Hopefully it looks okay. These go to the front.
What is mine? Is it still the middle?
Yeah, you're still right? We were actually able to locate a windshield. You can order these things online, kind of like the 911, about $300, but then shipping costs $200 to $300. Our local glass place, believe it or not, we were able to pick one up for $240. Went and grabbed it. It's got a tint. It's got the factory tint here, which was an option, which should be kind of nice. Now going back in with our gasket, a lot of times we'll dry fit these, especially with a fair weather car. One thing I've noticed with cars that we drive in the rain is when they're dry fitted, they'll weep just a little tiny bit, especially right here on the corner. And so we're gonna take an adhesive sealant and I'm gonna goop it down in our edge here, kind of like so, and then we'll get everything fitted nicely. And then we'll try to put it in this car. This right here is gonna be fun. I'm probably gonna make a big old mess. Now for our exterior seal, we'll be using some butyl tape and we'll just goop it in here, and as we pull it down in, it should get out the way that it's supposed to. We have no idea what we're doing, if you can't tell.
Oh, that worked good.
Now installing, we'll be using this rope. You take it and tuck it in your inner lip here, and then I'll show you how it pulls out on the inside. Oh, we're out. Look, we need to go out. Okay. Now as we put an immense amount of pressure down, I'm gonna start pulling out our rope here. Work your side down, work my side down. Yeah, butyl tape's silly. Okay. Although not perfect, a few little spots from the burn, most of the parts, original parts from this car with a little bit of cleanup, are nicer than anything you could find used off of other cars. Actually really cool, kind of gunmetal. That's hot. Nice. This is going to be a monster. One of the next big pieces to this interior, the main cluster itself. And this thing weighs like 40 pounds. And probably not that, I'm exaggerating, but it's really heavy. There's a lot going on. We've gotten our new heater hose ran. Those were, of course, melted on this one, disintegrated in the 63 parts car. And this is something we don't have in any car at this point. It's heat or air or anything, so it'd be kind of nice to have it all in here. Man, it feels good. See stuff going back in, don't it? Don't it? Yes, it does. Right there. When do you ever see a 60-year-old car with floors that solid? I think that's one thing that has really made us fall in love with this car. We enjoy the repairs, the rust fix and stuff, but sometimes it is nice to mess with a car like this. The burnt stuff is a lot, but not having to deal with rust is really cool sometimes. Before moving back together with our front end, we need to address some of our suspension. We did jack this thing up, but we checked and all of the bushings and ball joints are super good and super tight still, which is a good thing
because they're very expensive on this car. But the boots are smoked. So we've ordered new dust boots. So we'll pop them loose. We'll slide new I can't talk. We'll slide new dust boots in, and then we'll repack and we'll clean our grease zerk. I can't talk this morning. We'll clean our grease zerks and we'll repack everything. We've got new bump stops because those are completely gone. New tie rod ends. New brake hoses because of course those are smoked. And new front shocks.
There would be no point in not doing these front brakes. This is a whole lot of car, and we want to make sure that it stops well. Brakes, need a good refresh. The drum is perfect. Not much of a lip, which is good because that's aluminum and that's probably a nightmare to get done. Those were weeping. I bet these brakes were not super happy. They're riveted, but we're gonna replace them anyways. We knew there was a good bit of heat here. And even though the rivets are still on, there is still glue for adhesion. And with the heat, these could break up with some driving. Took a little bit of work to get this one packed. Once you do, it is beautiful shape. It was just dry and it feels so nice. That's the first time in quite a while that this thing's had some brake fluid in it. And Dad is just buttoning up these rear brakes. He's been going through them, getting them taken care of. Of course, everything's in super nice shape. So much so, you see they were worn down to the brass rivets. Yeah, that's the original shoe, which is of course to be expected in the rears on something with only 38,000 miles. It's just crazy to see though, and clearly they needed to be done. We know when we were driving this thing, the brakes were a little weak. We were just using the emergency brake or the parking brake, and now we'll actually have true brakes. We did take care of the fronts. One thing happened that has not happened in a long time. All of the footage from one day of doing this was on a card that went corrupt. I've not had that happen in quite a while, and unfortunately we lost all of the footage taking care of the front end. You can probably see we pulled the entire front assembly apart here, rebuilt the whole brakes. The upper and lower ball joints were in beautiful condition, super tight, but the dust shields were gone. So we have brand new dust shields, bump stops, upper bushing seals on both sides, as well as new sway bar links, shocks, and brake hoses. And of course the front springs did not take any kind of major heat, so this car still sits perfectly level just like it should, and that entire front end is completely dialed now. And with these brakes, hopefully this car can be drivable again. That is something really, really unfortunate, and I really wanted to show you that entire process. But of course, we'll be doing it on another car. In fact, this one right here is about to be getting a full restoration too. Our radiator is now sitting back down in its mounts, so we know we're not rubbing anywhere. Our transmission lines are reconnected, and our fan is in place. Now, something I'm pretty excited for with this fire up, does our power steering work again? And does this aftermarket power brake setup work? We're all bled up, we're ready to go. This is gonna be pretty neat to see. These are major, major parts of this car that have not worked since burning. I'm ready to see if they do. I like our loud cars, but the fact that you can stand over this engine with no engine bay, have a full-on conversation. You could stand right at the exhaust, have a full-on conversation. What a cool old cruiser. It's kind of nice to have something clean and bone stock.
One grippy tire.
That is two-finger powered steering. Just the way it should be. The big one, we have power brakes. Oh yeah, go to drive. I'm just barely on the pedal, all right. Talk about some big wins. What are the chances of finding a new old stock 4GC? And it was super reasonable. Wow, that's kind of the cherry on top. Now for some of our bigger items. These obviously can't go in our little sandblaster. So we picked up one of these fancy little Harbor Freight things and a $15 kiddie pool from the Dollar General. We're gonna try to clean this stuff up.
It's fancy, isn't it? All right, I'm ready to dive down to the bottom of the ocean. Look. Okay, I can't see anything now. gonna tell you what, I don't wish trying to sandblast these big old fender wells on my worst enemy. We're gonna throw down some red oxide high build, just like it would have been from the factory. Insides are going to get undercoated. Top side is gonna get low gloss blacked, just like the Firewall.
To be in the same spot too.
just started this thing on its own key. It's the little wins. The little wins. The only way to go about a shroud here was this aftermarket fiberglass one, and it does fit pretty nicely. But this bracket on this new aluminum radiator, oh, it's super tight. Does not fit well at all. Down in the bottom, we were able to spread those out because they're a little bit thinner metal, but up here, you can see I made a line. We're gonna have to cut this and actually open it up and then re-weld it. But all that should do pretty well. It's looking really nice. Parts car proving to be absolutely invaluable as far as parts go, huh? We've got the compressor stuck back on there, and as you can see, the clutch is actually kicking on. This is the one that was on the car. The front rubber is pretty good shape. The bearing feels good, even though the outside was a little cooked. A lot of original paint cleaned up underneath the soot, and looking down the side, it looks nice, and it is still full of oil. With some lines, the condenser out of that parts car, all of that stuff, this thing might actually end up having AC. Radiator is firmly mounted in. That thing, it fell into place really nicely there with it all tightened up. Looks really good. And then we did a little bracket here because this is not exactly identical to original. Quite honest, we don't know what original looked like because it was melted. But that feels really good. Fan is nice and clear. All our belts are on. Everything is kind of flowing together now. Man, this thing's getting close. Seems like every time working on this car is a rainy day, and that's a good time to be messing with this one in the shop here. And unfortunately, that means the lighting's normally pretty bad. I'm gonna try to set up a little bit of lighting here, but I do apologize for some of the bad lighting here in the interior. We wanna get this carpet glued down in. Now, we don't glue everything. You've got your foam here. What Dad and I like to do is glue our center tunnel down really good. We'll glue around our edges, and then we glue this edge down and trim everything up accordingly. And that lets everything lay nice and lets it kind of move around where it needs to. And as this thing is used and out in the sun, the little bit of creases and stuff will tend to drop down into place, whereas they might not if you had it glued.
There you go.
Works awesome. With the original visors, of course, being smoked, we've got the ones out of the 63 here. They're actually in really nice shape. They're just blue. So we'll scuff them up really good, and then we'll take this SEM vinyl dye. This is a medium slate gray. I think this will be a nice contrast in the interior there. Dad got a little overzealous and already pulled this piece off, but you can see the wind lace on the bottom here is just like the top, really bad shape, and it's sewn on. So we're taking this little sew seam popper thing and popping it off. If you need any pants hemmed up, just let me know. Try to get some of this burnt stuff off of this one. That stinks. The other one's so nice, and you'd never be able to match that. I'm gonna try to save this a little bit and make it look, hopefully okay-ish. Well, it's not perfect, but it's better than burnt. A little bit of Bondo and then some random paint colors to try to match that color a little bit. Eventually, I'd love to find this matching vinyl. We fought to find that. That's why we ended up doing like the visors the way we did and stuff, just because it's an oddball color. It's the same color as the interior that the 62 Fairlane was, in that bluish, grayish, silvery. It's a tough fabric to find, but I think that looks okay.
See? Run around the finger, no problem. See? Finger mark. Sweet.
Our last interior piece, the sail panels. We're using this same stuff that we used to make the door panels on the 68 Galaxy. This hardboard stuff. We made a template. We're gonna glue the extra little bit of headliner pieces we had left over onto place, and hopefully this should finish off that ceiling. It's gotta be glued. All right, let her lay. All right. One thing that absolutely drives me nuts, we decided to kind of splurge a little bit on. Actually, these were super reasonable for what they are. This thing had plastic side mirrors on it. One of the previous owners installed them. Unfortunately, they put them in the wrong spot. Mirrors on these cars, you'll see the new gasket we've got. Yep. From the factory go right here. Not out here. I'm sure this is a lot better visibility, so it is what it is. If it didn't have holes, we wouldn't put mirrors. I guess it helps with a big boat like this, but I love the old sleek sides of these cars with no mirrors on them. But get rid of the plastic mirrors. We got a nice set of Buick mirrors. These were, what's crazy is these are cheaper, brand new, and this is really nice quality. It's actually really heavy. Cheaper brand new than buying old used ones. And I think that'll look a whole lot better. Fortunately, that means we have to drill another hole in the door. Look, we're down to one little shelf and a couple parts and a couple parts. That's not bad. These horns are just slightly smoked. We did test them to see if they'd work, and they're just gone. We have the brackets, and I picked up a set of cheap little Amazon ones. And Dad was like, that's gonna sound like a new car instead of the big old car horn. Just wait till we get these hooked up in here. We're gonna take this, because these horns are a little shallower. We'll trim that back here because this is welded on, and then we'll use this hole to mount this horn into its place.
Good.
So I've got power to the relay, but for some reason the signal's not working. We may have to take that thing apart. Let's make sure they at least work. We'll pull the steering wheel apart and figure out what is going on there. On its way. Oh, just like that. I can't believe I'm about to back and pull this thing out of the shop. Oh my gosh. One pinky steering. Super, super soft brakes. Dude, it's been a minute. I know she loves the sun. Or there's no sun, the light. Gosh, super, super easy brakes. That booster worked out awesome. Jeez, this thing is gorgeous. And we're novice, so we're not professional car restorers. This is on the car. This car is incredible. Way to go, Buick. Oh my gosh. What a good feeling. Oh my gosh. Fuel gauge working. This thing's running so good right now. Dude, it's running really good. I think it just needs some driving. It's been a minute. This car is gorgeous. We're so close. Super, super, super smooth, super happy. What a good feeling. Can you believe we're here? It's definitely been a process. This isn't your pickup truck or base model Chevrolet. This is a Buick, and this thing, when they built it, was over the top. And with it being cooked, everything was cooked. It's been a lot of, there's so much going on, and we're trying to do it even though we're not professionals, to the best of our ability. And I feel like it's not a perfect car, but for an original car, 90% original car, wow. You may notice in the rear seat there, we put those little beads in. I felt like it was pretty era correct. I got one for the front, and that's just the way those seats are super nice, other than the centers, and I don't think that's from the fire necessarily. That's just from age, to cover it up and keep us going for now, because upholstery can get astronomically expensive, and we want to keep it sleek, beautiful, but original for the most part. Everything up here is basically dialed in. I think our AC is gonna work. We need to figure out some of our lines and dryers. And then we've got to do a good bit of body work to the fenders and the replacement hood we got, and then paint the front end, get this thing together, get the AC working, dial in the tune a little bit. And it's gonna be time to start driving this thing. But I wanna go ahead and get a video out on this thing. I know it has been a while, and I do apologize for that. We're gonna get this car completed, and it is so close at this point. I really hope you all have enjoyed this episode, and if you have and you want to see more on this car, other rescues and rebuilds, be sure to subscribe button and notification bell to keep up with our future uploads. And if you have been a part of the channel, we do appreciate it so incredibly much. We've gotten to rescue this car, and we get to rescue so many others because of each and every one of you. And coming up here soon, we'll have the completion on this build, the completion on the GMC motorhome. We're fixing to blow the 55 apart. We'll have an update on the Jaguar and the Ford GPW and a few other odds and ends coming. So if you want to see that, be sure to keep an eye out. We do appreciate it so much. Peace out, and catch you all on the flip side.